This will truly be the golden age of America. That's what we have to have.
Republican Donald Trump has claimed victory in the 2024 presidential contest after Fox News projected that he had defeated his Democratic opponent, Kamala Harris. His win would cap a stunning political comeback 4 years after he left the White House. He spoke in the early hours of Wednesday at a West Palm Beach, Florida convention center.
This was a movement like nobody's ever seen before. America has given us an unprecedented and powerful mandate.
In Washington, D.C., Harris did not speak to her supporters, who had gathered at her alma mater, Howard University. The vice president's campaign co-chair told the crowd Harris would speak publicly on Wednesday. Other news outlets had yet to call the race for Trump early Wednesday, but he already appeared to be on the verge of winning after capturing the battleground states of Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia, and holding leads in the other four, according to Edison Research. Reuters reporter Andy Sullivan explains.
In the end, it wasn't particularly close. Donald Trump easily winning the states he needs to recapture the presidency, return to the White House in January, appearing to clinch it with a victory in Pennsylvania.
We have taken back control of the Senate.
Trump also will have the Senate on his side. His Republicans won back control of the Senate. That means he's going to get the appointments he needs for key posts in his administration. And think about if there's another Supreme Court seat that opens up, he'll be in a position to fill that as well. The main story here appears to be inflation in the economy. Voters clearly upset over this topic and holding it against the Democrats who are in charge while we saw that real sharp spike in inflation post-COVID. Other issues, abortion rights, concern over democracy, that sort of stuff that Democrats thought would work for them, clearly taking a back seat.
Trump went into Election Day with a 50-50 chance of reclaiming the White House, a remarkable turnaround from January 6, 2021, when many pundits pronounced his political career to be over. That day, a mob of his supporters stormed Congress in a violent attempt to overturn the results of the 2020 election. In 2024, Trump picked up more support from Hispanics, traditionally Democratic voters. He also won among lower-income households that have keenly felt the sting of inflation since the last presidential election in 2020, according to exit polls from Edison.
Spanish military units are searching for bodies in rivers in the country's east. Local officials reported on Tuesday that at least 89 people are still missing after the region's deadly floods. The count includes only those reported missing by family who provided information and DNA. More missing people may still be unreported. More than 200 people were confirmed to have died last week after heavy rains caused rivers to overflow, flooding suburbs south of Valencia and sweeping away cars and bridges, and flooding homes and parking areas. The court said coroners have done hundreds of autopsies, but many victims have yet to be identified. The Science Ministry announced on Tuesday that a research vessel will arrive in Valencia on November 9th to assist in the search. It said the vessel can capture detailed images of the seafloor and reach difficult areas. Some think the missing may have been carried out to the sea. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said he is setting aside 10.6 billion euros, or about $11.6 billion, to help victims. The aid includes money for small businesses and freelancers, billions of euros in loans, and full cleanup costs, with the national government covering half of infrastructure repairs. More than 100,000 cars were damaged by the floods, and the damage to businesses could reach over 10 billion euros, or almost $11 billion.
Apple is set to be the first company fined under new EU rules aimed at reining in the power of big tech. That's according to sources with direct knowledge of the matter on Tuesday. EU regulators charged in June that the iPhone maker had breached the bloc's tech rules. The charge against Apple was the first under the EU's Digital Markets Act, or DMA, which came into force earlier this year. Bloomberg reported on Tuesday that Apple was found to have failed to allow app developers to steer users to cheaper deals and offers outside of the App Store. The Reuters sources said the fine is likely to come this month, although the timing could still change. DMA violations could result in a fine of as much as 10% of a company's global annual turnover. Apple declined to comment, while the European Commission did not immediately respond to a Reuters request for comment. The new penalty comes just months after Brussels fined Apple over $2 billion for thwarting competition from music streaming rivals via App Store restrictions. Apple also lost a long-running court battle with the EU in September. That resulted in the company being forced to pay over $14 billion in back taxes to Ireland.
Burger King parent Restaurant Brands and KFC owner Yum Brands missed market estimates for quarterly results on Tuesday. They were hit by choppy demand in the United States and abroad from budget-stretched customers. Restaurant Brands shares fell as much as 4% in morning trading, while Yum stock fell in the pre-market but actually rose 3% in late morning trading. Rising fast food prices over the past year have prompted consumers to cook cheaper meals at home and avoid eating out, hurting traffic across the industry. In response, chains have turned to aggressive promotions like $5 value meals to get lower-income customers back into their outlets. One analyst called it a challenging environment for these companies, but said the discounting has at least stopped the deceleration in traffic. Burger King's U.S. sales declined fractionally in the quarter ended September 30th, compared with a 6.6% rise last year, while KFC's same-store sales in the U.S. tumbled 5% in the same period, marking the third straight quarter of declines this year. Outside the U.S., a challenging economic recovery in China and weak demand in the Middle East from boycott campaigns related to the Israel-Hamas conflict have worsened the sales hit to restaurant operators.
Чтобы увидеть состав ракеты «Союз-2.1».
Предварительная. Подъем. Прошел контакт подъема. Двигатели центрального динамичного главной ступени. Секунд. Параметры системы управления ракеты-носителя в норме. Второй.
A thick layer of ash blankets Indonesian villages following the deadly eruption of Mount Lewatobi Laki-Laki volcano. Attempts are now being made to evacuate at least 16,000 residents from the area, an official said on Tuesday. Located on Flores Island in East Nusa Tenggara province, the volcano erupted on Saturday night, spewing explosive plumes of lava, followed by a smaller eruption on Monday. It remains on Indonesia's highest volcanic alert status. Authorities have revised the death toll down to 9 from 10, with dozens injured and more than 2,000 houses and 25 schools damaged. Rescue teams combed through the charred remains of homes looking for victims. The bodies of one man's family were retrieved from a smouldering building.
They were my parents, my youngest brother, my younger brother, and his wife and children, all dead.
Officials say they were struggling with evacuations due to the thick volcanic ash on some roads. Military personnel have been deployed to truck residents to school buildings and temporary shelters 12 miles from the crater until it is safe to return. Indonesia straddles the so-called Pacific Ring of Fire, an area of high seismic activity where multiple tectonic plates meet.